car that's as vicious as they come. It's the underdog supercar from Detroit. The Viper is an absolute bar fight on wheels. It's perfectly imperfect, and it's without a doubt one of the most badass cars ever made. This is the death of a legend, and everything that you need to know about the Dodge Viper. This is the Viper ACR, a car that to this day holds the most track records of any production machine, and has seen victory more than once at the 24-hour Le Mans. Here in its final form, it was the fastest, nastiest, and rawest machine the Dodge boys had ever produced. Capable of throwing down 1,700 pounds of downforce, thanks to a wing that's exactly 1,776 millimeters wide. All to help control the 645 horsepower and 600 pound-feet of twist coming out of the back of its 8.4-liter V10. 0 to 60 times come in 3.3 seconds, and it clips the quarter mile in just 11.5. But straight line speed doesn't tell the whole story. The ACR version came with the track-tuned fully adjustable suspension, carbon ceramic brakes, adjustable aerodynamics, bespoke Kumho ACR tires, and of course, like all Vipers, a manual transmission. The 5th gen Viper was the car at its absolute peak. An interior that looks and feels fit for a Ferrari, standard safety systems that make old Vipers seem downright barbaric, and even with its massive engine and a wheel and tire combo that tie it for the widest rubber ever fitted to a production car. I mean guys, 355 millimeter of big black rubber. That Trojan is like this big. And with extensive use of aluminum and a hood, roof, and deck lid all made of carbon fiber. The whole thing only weighs around 3,300 pounds. This, folks, was Viper, absolutely evolved. But just where did it exactly evolve from?
The moment the concept was unveiled, all across the country, artworks of pinups were immediately replaced with posters like these. And it gave hope across the globe that the madmen at Mopar were back in a big way. Bob Lutz, who's an absolute badass in the industry and responsible for things like launching the entire BMW M division, was executive vice president at Chrysler, a company that at the time had just skirted bankruptcy and was trailing GM and Ford in sales by a large margin. They needed something that could give the brand a shot of adrenaline, a halo car that could shift the public's perspective of what driving a Dodge meant. Lutz knew exactly what he wanted, a 2-seat rear-drive sports car in the spirit of the Shelby Cobra, a car that the company's CEO, Lee Iacocca, had helped bring to life. The mission was simple: create something that could stand toe-to-toe with the automotive giants. Giants like the scalpel-sharp Porsche 911 Turbo, the screaming red-headed Ferrari 348, the 200-mile-an-hour V12 Lamborghini Diablo, and of course, the game-changing Corvette ZR1. And after a quick meeting with Chrysler's head of design, Tom Gale, with a shoestring budget of $85 million, a small, dedicated team of just 75 designers and engineers, led by the guy who used to work directly under Zora Arkus Duntov, with some help from names like Roush and Boyd Coddington, the first prototype of the Viper was rushed onto the world stage in 1989, with none other than Carroll frickin' Shelby himself riding shotgun. Immediately, orders came flying in. People were mailing checks and attempting bribes to cut in line. Excitement surrounding the Viper was so high that the suits at Dodge had no choice but to build it.
There's a gear shift. Go build the damn thing, will you?
With its V10 heart and a body that looked like it was chiseled out of pure adrenaline, the Viper didn't just join the world, it f***ing stormed it. Whoa, real quick, if you love the Viper even half as much as we do, well, go check out our limited print Viper tee. It gives 0 f***s. Or check out Trav's favorite, the Sin City Snake. Once they sell out, they sell out. Links in the description. Go snag one before the snake's gone. It came tearing off the assembly line and into people's hands in 1992. People couldn't get enough of the 285 that were built in the first year. Right from the jump, the Snake could bite. Danger was literally the car's middle name, just like mine. The original Viper had no nannies, no ABS, no traction control, no airbags, no side windows. Guys, it didn't even have handles, and a roof? That was an option. What it did have were pedals that were offset too far to the left to make room for its massive Lamborghini cast V10 engine, and a beefy gearbox needed to handle the 400 horses stampeding from all 8 glorious liters. Yeah, you heard that right, Lamborghini. It was little more than a ridiculously powerful drivetrain wrapped in a fiberglass container, and of course, like the Cobra, it had side exit exhausts, which made it ridiculously hot even with the lack of roof or windows. And for a short time, the Viper, it was the hottest car in the world. It was in movies, it was in music videos. I mean, guys, they made a freaking TV show about it. And at a price of just 50 grand, dollar for dollar, it was at a level of performance that was previously inaccessible to 99.9% of people. People with zero experience driving anything fast. It was as fast as or faster than its competition, and at a fraction of the price. Despite the discomfort and danger, the Viper was a viral sensation. The Viper got updated in 1996, and while it was always built to be a race car for the road, with the addition of a roof, it could actually go racing. Both the RT10 and hardtop GTS flavor came with a completely reworked suspension, a massaged and updated engine now pumping out 460 horsepower and 488 foot-pounds of torque. Gone were the side pipes, because a bunch of Karens complained about getting their legs burned on them with the Gen 1s.
Dear Iacocca, my wife Karen burned her leg on your side pipe today. She also complained about them no door handles, no airbags, and no air conditioning. Could you help me save my marriage? Sincerely, Dick.
Let's all thank Karen, because now a few creature comforts found their way in. Air conditioning now became standard, so did driver and passenger airbags, and for the very first time, technologies like electric windows and even exterior door handles were part of the equation. High-tech stuff. In 1999, Dodge released the first Viper built specifically for the track with the ACR. It came with 10 more horsepower, specifically tuned Koni adjustable coilovers, a 5-point racing harness, and a no-cost option to delete the radio. And they did not stop there. The GT-SR hit the track in 1999 and was an immediate success. Viper engineers teamed up with the French racing team Oreca to develop the GT-SR into a GT-class weapon. And over 2 years, out of the 18 races it entered, it brought home the win on 16 of them. That's like 95%. The GT-SR, which went on to downright destroy the competition in Europe, including 3 Le Mans class wins and several 24-hour overall class victories at Spa, Daytona, and the Nürburgring, making it the most upsetting American car in its division since the Ford GT40 back in the 60s. In the year 2000, we got a glimpse at things to come with the GT-SR concept. And even though it was the baddest car in Gran Turismo 3, it never made it into production. In 2003, the Viper underwent its biggest change yet. Basically, nothing from the old car was carried over into this one. It got bigger in virtually every way, including under the hood, which is where it counts. The engine was now an 8.3 liter that made 505 horses. But despite the extra bulk, the car actually lost 100 pounds. And Dodge said, "F you, Karen. Dick's getting a divorce," because the side pipes were back, baby. And for the first 3 years, it was only available as a convertible. And it was a real convertible this time. It didn't have a toupe like the old one. They started building competition coupes for racing programs in 2004. They weren't street legal, and they cost around $50,000 more than the base Viper. And unfortunately, it was just too fast for its class it was built to compete in, but not quick enough to move up to the next series. So it never really did a whole lot of professional competitive racing. In 2006, the GTS returned, but only for a single year, because in 2007, Dodge found themselves in financial trouble again. Sales had plummeted and the company was operating at a loss. Daimler-Benz, Chrysler's parent company, had failed to merge the best thinking from Mercedes with the manufacturing capacity of Chrysler, and as a result, both companies weren't exactly building their best products in the mid-2000s. The writing was on the wall, and Daimler sold Chrysler to an investment fund for a huge loss. But not before they grabbed the engineering and design homework that was supposed to be the 4th gen Viper on their way out the door. That's right, folks. Have you guys ever looked at an SLS AMG and just thought to yourself,
Well, dang! Hey, that thing looks kind of like a German Viper.
well, that's because it freaking is! Okay, Kinda. See, Viper engineers had an all-new, all-aluminum chassis and suspension in their prototype stage that was supposed to be used on the next generation of the car. But with the company's finances in the gutter and sales of the Viper down, there was no way Dodge could afford to build it. So the team at Mercedes that was already developing the new Mercedes supercar took what they could and ultimately massaged it into the all-new SLS. Without enough money for a ground-up redesign, if the Viper was going to stay competitive in the market, the team was going to have to get creative. So, in 2008, the 4th gen Viper was unveiled and it looked pretty much exactly like the 3rd gen. But underneath, it got revised suspension and braking systems, and the next generation of V10. It was now 8.4 freaking liters, used a first of its kind cam and cam variable valve timing, which had never been done with a pushrod engine. It had a revised transmission, and oh yeah, the ACR was back, and it was badder than ever. It went on and smashed the production car record on the Nürburgring with a time of 7 minutes and 12 seconds. And when Fiat bought Chrysler back in 2009, there were rumors that the Viper might start sharing some parts with Fiat's flagship company, Ferrari. But instead, Chrysler killed it off in 2010. Which brings us back to the death of a legend, the 5th generation, a car. No, an icon so wild that to this day holds the record for the fastest lap around the Nürburgring for a production car with a manual transmission. The 5th gen spelled the end of an era of Dodge's biggest Hail Mary, a cold-blooded, no-nonsense winning machine that was the varsity quarterback that took the cheerleader to prom and was valedictorian of its class, thanks to setting a record 13 track records, beating cars like the Porsche 918 Spyder at Laguna Seca by almost a second and a half. You know what it is? It is the definition of what Mopa is capable of when it doesn't follow the rules. But sometimes rule breakers get caught. And in 2017, the last Viper, a red one, just like the very first one, rolled off the line. Its crime, initially, Chrysler stated that the poor sales were the reason. But it then came out that the Viper just couldn't comply with FMV SS226 safety regulations, which required cars to have side curtain airbags. That, yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is what killed the Viper, a car that started life with no airbags and a don't give a attitude, and ended life because it just couldn't fit an airbag because its shape was just too badass. That's just sometimes how the snake bites, I guess. The Viper is a machine that stood for something more than just speed or power. It represented a spirit, an attitude, a defiance. So, sound off in the comments. I want to hear your Viper stories. If you enjoyed our Death of the Legend series, please like and subscribe and turn on that notification bell. And let us know your favorite Viper fact or story in the comments. I'm Brad, this is Ideal, and promise me one thing, keep living the ideal lifestyle.